They say that music is the soul of love, and we're here today with someone who loves music and is going to tell us all about it. Dino Duazo from GAPA Choruses. Welcome.
Hi.
Oh, good to see you.
you.
Thank you. So tell me how GAPA Choruses started and how it's kind of connected to the whole GAPA movement, because they started about the same time,
Right.
yes?
Yeah, GAPA, Gay Asian Pacific Alliance, was founded in 1988, and a lot of that in the beginning was just a lot of excitement about us as a community, gay Asians, being able to do stuff for ourselves, you know, not waiting for other people to produce stuff for me. And the chorus kind of came out of that too. The one who founded this, he was a choral director for a youth chorus in Vietnam. And then when he came over, I guess he wanted to keep doing that, and he brought together a bunch of us. And out of that, the chorus was born.
Right, and what was his name, or what is his name?
Van Wyn.
Van
And
Wyn.
he did it for a couple of years, and then he started doing recording, so he went into bigger and better things, I guess.
All right. Did he ever talk about what it was like being gay in Vietnam?
I think it wasn't until he came to the States where it became he was more free to express his gayness. I mean, he was there with a youth chorus too, so it was probably
difficult.
Yeah, it probably was a little more, you know. He probably had to hold back a little bit more there.
Yeah. I was speaking with someone a few weeks ago on a show about the founding of GAPA, and the perception, according to Ben Leong, who's on the board, that there's a different sort of prejudice within the Asian and Pacific Islander community, that it's harder to come out sometimes because of family. Do you think that's true?
Yeah, definitely. In fact, one of the things that made me so involved with GAPA in the beginning was the fact that it always felt like I had to separate being gay with being Asian, and with GAPA I was able to combine the two. I think it depends on the ethnicity. I'm Filipino, so it seemed like it was a little more easier for me to come out, but at the same time there's the religious stuff with being Catholic that kind of makes it difficult. But I've heard other stories, like people have been disowned, and so, you know, it's like the range of experiences can really vary a lot.
Talk a little bit about that. My husband is Spanish, and we have many friends from the Philippines, and he always says, I always want to apologize to them, because he said, boy, they got one of the worst things from the Spaniards, and that was this Catholic guilt.
Yeah, it seems like on the one hand it seems accepting, but you know, there's this the drag queen, the overly effeminate stereotype that people can relate to, but so it's kind of limiting if you're not like that. You know, you kind of, you know, it feels like that's the way to be accepted almost. I mean, but it's, you know, it's not very empowering at the same time, because you can't be yourself. You don't have to. It seems like only stereotypes are kind of accepted.
Meaning in the Philippines?
Yeah.
I remember the first time I was in the Philippines was in 1998, and I came across a group of performers outside of a church, and they were clearly what we would call gay, but it was young men, and they were very effeminate and very kind of outrageous, and I forget what the group was called, but I was told that they were from a village near the Philippines, and that this was kind of an accepted way to be gay. Does that sound familiar in any way?
I left when I was 8, so I'm not as familiar with it, but it's just in terms of the reaction to them as a group. I mean, it sounds pretty accurate. I mean, there's some they accept how people act in certain respects. I mean, if it follows their perceptions of how it should be.
I remember when I came to San Francisco in the mid-1980s, certainly the Castro was very much a quote-unquote gay neighborhood, but that meant gay white male.
Yeah, definitely. And
the last lesbian bar closed in the Castro just 2 years after I came, so then it was like boy, just white boys.
Yeah, and when GAPA was founded too, I mean, we used to meet at MCC Church in the Castro, and we'd be walking up and down the street, and it seemed like, you know, we'd be the only ones. I mean, it was kind of rare to see gay Asians out there, but now it's, I mean, definitely the community has changed. There's a lot more Asians there, but at the same time, the way GAPA was founded, and you know, just forming this community, I mean, I think it's still important for a lot of people.
I know that the term Asian and Pacific Islander is something that I became educated about probably in the last 15 years. Are there ever any, and what also is talk about this within relation to the chorus, not tensions, but differences between being a gay Asian Filipino or a gay Asian Chinese or gay Asian Polynesian? I mean, but you all come together under this umbrella. It all.
Yeah, I think it just makes it, I mean, there's definitely changes. I mean, differences in how we perceive different things, being Filipino versus being Chinese. Even in the chorus, in terms of how we perceive performing, like for the Filipinos, it's kind of like, you know, be on stage and performing. For the Chinese, it seems like it's a little more, it's not as dominant in
there is a cultural reticence.
Yeah. So, but at the same time, we do come together, we do support each other. You know, it's like coming together to, it's like a family coming together to create something together. Right.
Now, you were there at the founding in 1989. So how have things changed from '89 to now with the choruses?
We've had our ups and downs. I mean, there was a time when we started with about 8, and then we grew to like about 18 or 20, and then it went back to 6. And at that point, it sometimes gets really hard to have a rehearsal together because, you know, like if somebody is sick.
Choral music is difficult. You can't just have 8 guys who want to sing. You've got to have this part and this part and this part.
Yeah, it's really dependent on all the pieces coming together. So, you know, it made it a little hard. But in the past few years, it's gotten up again. We're up to about 15 or 16, and it's nice that people find out about us through the GAPA website, and you know, they don't know anything about the chorus, but then it's just like, oh, it's something they want to do. So it's nice that the word gets out there. I mean, people just find out about us organically. They get involved. You know, it's like it fulfills something in their lives, and you know, they're part of the group.
So, what's the audition requirement?
Basically, there's no audition requirement because it's kind of fulfills one of GAPA's purposes, which is to create a community. So we want to encourage people to join, and we accept all skill levels. I mean, sometimes it's a little challenging, but we have people who are like have a lot of training and really beautiful voices, and then some of us that aren't as
some
polished.
of us who aren't. So you're including yourself in this? After, come on, after 20 years, I'm sure you're one of the polished ones.
It's great because our director, Randy Kikakawa, he's got a lot of experience, and he really tries to educate us in terms of developing our voices and making us better singers as a group and as individuals. So it really helps a lot.
There is, of course, a formalized organization, a national organization for gay and lesbian choruses. Is the GAPA chorus a member of that?
No, we haven't. It's one of the things, though, is that the GAPA chorus, it's amazingly, we've survived all these years, and we don't have a budget. Basically, we run on $0, and we depend on invitations to perform at events. But we've also put together shows, but a lot of that is helps with networking, getting in-kind donation services. So it's like, so in terms of gala,
which is the national chorus organization, right?
Yeah, we have to, there's membership fees, and there's a lot of other things that, you know, some of our chorus members can't really participate in.
What has been the reaction to, or is the relationship between the GAPA chorus and, say, the lesbian and gay chorus, or the gay men's chorus, or?
It's one of the main connections we have with other gay choruses is the Golden Gate Men's Chorus because of our director. He's part of that group too. He's like, I think, the chief financial officer. But it's, I think when they come to see us perform, they're kind of surprised. It seems like they have this perception that we're just an affinity group, just this little side club of GAPA. But we really take our music seriously. We really try to do it. So I think they're kind of pleasantly surprised that we're.
Well, I mean, I've heard some of the music. It's beautiful.
Oh, thanks.
How was it becoming part of the GAPA chorus and your coming out experience in our last few moments? How are those two things linked for you?
I think coming out, in terms of the GAPA Men's Chorus, it just really gives you that sense. It gives me a sense of family, a sense of connection to all these other people. We meet on a weekly basis, you know, like every Monday night, and you do develop bonds and connections. It's, you know, it's like a family. There's some dysfunction here and there once in a while, and conflicts, but for the most part, it's like, you know, it's like any other family. You know, you get along sometimes. You get along most of the time, but sometimes. But for the most part, it's a great experience. And obviously, since I've been there all this time.
Well, and how many families that have a dysfunction get to sing about it at the end of it? That's right. We've been speaking with Dino Duazo of the GAPA Chorus. I'm your host, David Perry. Thanks for watching 10%. We hope you'll turn in next week and sing out.